Thank you. Good evening, students. We had a deeper discussion on the lengthiest chapter, which is exemptions. And today we are going to understand the two concepts which are related in terms of when to tax and how much to tax. So we'll be discussing today on time of supply and value of supply. What is the time when you should charge GST and on what value you should charge GST. Okay. So we had discussed in previous session on exemptions, and we had discussed that if there's any query on exemptions, you could raise it. So I hope you have gone through that exemption chapters over the weekend and you have no queries, right? Because I don't see any queries raised from the previous discussion or the previous chapter. It means what you have understood everything and you have no queries. So that's an excellent thing. And I see my friends coming in slowly now. Good evening, everyone. How was your weekend? Yes, yes, please, Nistala. Tell me what is your query? We're just waiting for queries of the previous session. One of the students is just writing. In the meantime, if anybody else has any other queries, also you could pitch in and you can ask them. Yeah. So the question on exemption chapter is that in premises exemption, it is mentioned it is common to any hotel accommodation. In specified premises, it is mentioned 7,500 is limit. What is the difference? I didn't understand. There are two exemptions. One is on residential welfare association. There you find this mention of 7,500. Which exemption are you mentioning? And if you have any reference of the page number, that will be helpful. In charge of GST. Okay, not in exemptions. Can you please illustrate your query again? Yes, what is the specified premises? In premises, it is mentioned as 7,500 is the limit, correct? And common to any hotel accommodation would mean premises. So the definition firstly of specified premises, why it is important is if it is specified premises, then the GST rate is different. And if it is not a specified premises, then the rate is different. Specified premises, the definition of specified premises means premises providing hotel accommodation service having declared tariff of any unit of accommodation above 7,500 rupees per unit per day. Okay, that is the definition of hotel accommodation. Specified accommodation. Now your question is on 3.40, okay, which is the GST rate. I'll just share the relevant screen. Yes. So what does it say? A number of services are subject to a lower rate of GST at 5%. Okay. So GST rates are at 5%, 12%, 18%. Here it says there are few services wherein the rate is 5%. For example, GTA service is tagged at 5%, subject to the condition that credit of ITC charged on goods or services used in supplying said service has not been taken. Similarly, the tax rate for supply of restaurant services other than at specified premises is 5% without input tax credit. So a specified premises is that premise, like there is a restaurant. Okay. Now it's pure restaurant, you're going to a hotel. That will charge you 5%. Now you have few accommodations like a hotel with stay is there. Okay. Now, if that restaurant is just an ancillary part of it, wherein the stay is there, you can go and stay there, and they have a restaurant also. Okay. Now, in such cases, what will be the GST rate? Where the tariff for this stay, okay, the tariff for this stay is up to 7,500. Then this restaurant, which is attached to this stay premises, like it's a hotel which has stay and restaurant services, if the tariff for the stay is below 7,500, which means it is not a specified premises, then it will be 5%. If it is a hotel accommodation where the specified tariff is more than 7,500, then the GST rate will not be 5%, it will be 18%. That is what it says, second line. Services not covered under any specified heading are taxed at the rate of 18%. So this is for that wherein hotel accommodation is there, okay, and restaurant is also there. If there is a hotel accommodation, which is a small hotel accommodation, which means that how do you classify what is small and big? By classifying whether the stay charges, okay, the charges for the stay, which is the tariff rate, that is they have a specified tariff rate chart. In that, they will give the rate for the rooms. In that specified rate chart, if the rate is 6,000 rupees, then the GST rate will be 5% on the restaurant. On the stay, it will be at the stay rate. We are not talking about the rate of stay. We are talking about we are only talking about the restaurant, what GST rate it should charge. If the tariff rate is 7,500 and below, the restaurant will charge 5%. If it is above 7,500, say 9,000 rupees, then the restaurant will charge at 18%. Got it? Are you able to correlate now why restaurant service is getting mixed with the specified tariff? Clear? So if it's a five-star hotel, right? There, if they're charging 5%, then what is the difference between a small hotel and big hotel? That's the reason they have made this bifurcation, saying that if the hotel is above 7,500, it's a bigger restaurant. It is a bigger hotel, which could be a mostly a three-star or five-star restaurant, right? There, the GST rate would be at a higher tariff, which is at 18%. Great. So fine then. So we could proceed with today's chapter. Okay. So today we'll discuss on the time of supply and value of supply. What is time of supply like when you have a business transactions? Okay, what are we going to study? That's the major part. Yeah. When you supply any goods, right? We know GST is on goods or services. Let's take a case of supply of goods because we will understand that better. That you have a supply of goods. Now, when you have a supply of goods, there are various things which are required. If you have to purchase something, let's talk about a factory. A factory wants to purchase something. To purchase something, can it just go and buy some shop? No, because the volume will be high. The transactions would be very high. You just can't go and buy it. You'll have to place an order and then the vendor will source it from various sources because he may not be having stock and your quantity is high and you want to check the quality and a lot of things are involved. So in that case, what you will do, you will place a purchase order first. Okay, so you will enter into a purchase order or popularly called as PO. You will place a PO on the vendor. And if you don't have a PO, then you will enter into a purchase agreement. After that, the vendor will source it and he will dispatch the goods. He will dispatch means he will send it from his place. If he's an outstation vendor, he will dispatch it on one day and I will receive the delivery of the goods on some other day. Say if he's dispatched it on the 31st of the month end, 31st December, year end, I will receive it on 1st January. So there are dates which are involved, multiple timelines are involved. One is purchase order is involved, then dispatch of goods is involved, delivery of goods is involved, then entry in the records is involved. Okay. And then payment. I may make payment before in advance, I may make payment later on. And there is a difference between actual payment and payment entry of the payment in the books. I have issued a check. Check may get cleared later on, but I will enter in my books today itself. So there are multiple time involved in case of a goods or services. Even in case of services also it happens that actual dispatch and delivery is not there, but the performance of the service happens on particular date. Then in that case, how do I record these different timelines and what is my time of supply is what we are going to discuss today. Okay, so you understand why this topic is important from a practical perspective also, because there is no one timeline involved in any business transactions. There are multiple timelines which are involved. Since multiple timelines are involved, we need to have some kind of a consistency or some kind of a equality so that we know what is the time when I have to pay GST. That's why this topic has this relevance that at what point of time GST becomes relevant, at what point of time GST becomes payable is to be determined. So does it become in one of these issued? So there are various timelines which are involved. Time of supply says that what are these dots? These are various timelines. I've given you an example of various timelines in the previous slide. So these are the 4 timelines. Okay. Now, which one will you pick for time of supply? That is not for you to pick and choose. Okay. हम लोग ऐसा नहीं करेंगे कि हमको जो पसंद आए, कौन सा टाइमलाइन पसंद आए वो होगा, वो नहीं हो सकता है। GST has a law. It gives clarity. It gives uniformity to everyone. This GST law will say, okay, time of supply is this. That this is the time of supply. Various dates have mentioned, right? Say this is the date for invoice. This is the date for raising an invoice when I was supposed to raise, but I've raised it later on. This is the date of payment, and this is the date of raising of PO. Time of supply rules under the GST. The section of time of supply says that the time of supply is raising the invoice. One of the thing it should tell clearly now. So that's why it has told that this is the time of supply. So that becomes the time of supply. Got it? So जिस तरह से various times are involved in any transaction, GST will tell this is the time of supply. Now, if this is the time of supply, when will I pay the GST? 11th, I have done a sale. I will pay GST on 11th itself. No, right? I will pay GST when I have to do all the transactions for a particular period. मैं पूरे महीने का transactions या पूरे quarter का transactions करूंगा, फिर उसको report करूंगा. ठीक है? So I will do transactions on a daily basis. I don't have to pay GST on a daily basis. I will collate, summarize सबको इकट्ठा करके जब मेरा रिटर्न फाइल करना होगा तब मैं पे करूंगा. जैसे 11 अप्रैल का मेरा सेल है, मैं जीएसटी का रिटर्न फाइल करूंगा GSTR1 11 मई को. इफ आई एम अ मंथली फाइलर, क्वार्टरली फाइलर हूं, तो देन आई विल डू इट एट द एंड ऑफ द क्वार्टर. तो जब मंथली फाइलर रहेगा 11 अप्रैल का, वो GSTR1 में 11 मई को रिपोर्ट करेगा, लेकिन पेमेंट करेगा GSTR3B से. और GSTR3B का डेट है 20th में, तो फिर 20th मई को जब मैं रिटर्न फाइल करूंगा तब पे करूंगा. तो इसका मतलब क्या हुआ, जब आप सेल करते हो आपको कस्टमर तो टैक्स दे देता है, तो वो जो अमाउंट टैक्स दे देता है वो आपको भरोसे पे देता है कि आप गवर्नमेंट को पे कर सको. 11th को दे देता है, सेल करते ही आपके पेमेंट कर देगा. पेमेंट करने के बाद वो तो चला जाएगा, आपकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बनती है कि आप 20th मई को GST पेमेंट करेंगे. ठीक है? Clear with this? Come on, I need an interactive class now, because otherwise, how do you proceed further? Are you getting the points? Very good. तो अब तक clear है, very nice. So GST will determine the time of supply. Definition of goods हमको बताए. To understand the difference between goods and services, goods means all kind of movable property and it includes actionable claims. So actionable claims के लिए भी time of supply for goods जो है वही लगेगा, and it excludes money and securities. Services means anything excluding goods, money and securities, but it includes activities relating to use of money or its consideration and activities facilitating or arranging transactions. Very nice. आप response दे रहे हो, इसका मतलब हाँ आप हो वहां पे. Very good. So we know what is the definition of goods, हमने पढ़ लिया था. What is the definition of services? By goods and services differentiation is there, क्योंकि हमने देखा है ना, delivery, all those things happens in goods, not in services. So the time of supply cannot be similar, cannot be one straight line. It has to be different. So time of supply for goods अलग है और time of supply for services अलग है. ठीक है? Then who is a recipient? We will come to this when we discuss the relevant things, and who is a supplier, all of that when it is relevant will come. Now, what is the time of supply of goods is section 12. The time of supply for goods is section 12. The time of supply for services is section 13. So we'll understand section 12 word by word first. Law पढ़ लेंगे. 12.1 says the liability to pay tax on goods shall arise at the time of supply. Okay, the liability to pay tax shall arise at the time of supply, and the time of supply shall be the earlier of date of issue of invoice or the last day on which invoice is to be issued. Okay, when invoice has to be issued, within that date I should raise the invoice, or the date of receipt of payment, whichever is earlier. Okay, that is the date on which payment is entered in books or the date when it is credited to bank account, whichever is earlier. मतलब अर्लियर ऑफ द फॉलोइंग इशुएंस ऑफ द इनवॉइस, अगर मैं इनवॉइस देना भूल गया हूं, देन द लास्ट डे ऑन विच आई वाज सपोज्ड टू रेज अ इनवॉइस दैट इज स्पेसिफाइड इन सेक्शन 31, वो भी हम पढ़ेंगे कि 31 क्या बोलता है, कब आपको इनवॉइस रेज करना चाहिए, either that date or the date of receipt of payment, whichever is earlier. ये exception का मैं बाद में आता हूँ. So that is what is the time of supply for goods, date of issue of invoice or receipt of payment. And what is receipt of payment? When it is payment in the books of accounts or payment is credited to the bank, whichever is earlier. ठीक है, तो ये हमको समझ में आ गया. अब सपोज अज्यूम कीजिए बिफोर गोइंग इनटू द नोटिफिकेशन, मैंने गुड्स वर्ड 100 करोड़ के सप्लाई कर दिया हूँ. ठीक है, 100 करोड़ का गुड्स मैंने सप्लाई कर दिया हूँ एंड द कस्टमर हैज पेड टू मी, एडवांस में पे कर चुका, भैया 100 करोड़ का है मेरे पास, इतना रॉ मटेरियल्स नहीं है, आपको 50% एडवांस पे करना पड़ेगा. ठीक है, तो उसने 50 करोड़ एडवांस पे कर दिया है. नाउ 50 करोड़ उसने एडवांस दिया है, लेकिन मैंने तो टैक्स इनवॉइस रेज ही नहीं किया है. तो जब मैं टैक्स इनवॉइस रेज करूंगा तब मैं 18% चार्ज करूंगा. तो फिर क्या गवर्नमेंट क्या बोल रही है यहाँ पे, आप जब 50 करोड़ रेज करते हो मतलब पेमेंट आ गया है, तो ये अर्लियर हो गया है, तो आप 50 करोड़ के ऊपर भी टैक्स पे कर दो, बिकॉज यू हैव रिसीव्ड द पेमेंट अर्लियर देन द इश्यू ऑफ इनवॉइस. 50 करोड़ मेरे कस्टमर ने मुझे दिया है, उसको तो मैंने मेरे वेंडर को दे चुका हूँ परचेज रॉ मटेरियल करने के लिए, तभी तो मैं प्रोडक्शन कर पाऊंगा. अब गवर्नमेंट बोल रही है 50 करोड़ जो आपने एडवांस में लिए उसके ऊपर टैक्स भरो. मेरे पास टैक्स भरने के लिए कुछ बचा ही नहीं है, बिकॉज इन केस ऑफ गुड्स मेरा मार्जिन ही कम है, और मैं जो 50 करोड़ एडवांस आया है उसके ऊपर और टैक्स भरो तो मैं कहाँ से भरूंगा, मैं ये नहीं भर पाऊंगा. इसीलिए industry representation was made, and then they came up with this beautiful notification, okay, which says that taxpayers notification number 66 of 2017, taxpayers under forward charge are not required to pay GST at the time of receipt of advance in relation to supply of goods. Taxpayers under forward charge, जब सेल करेंगे तब फॉरवर्ड चार्ज पे रहेंगे. तो taxpayers who are under forward charge are not required to pay GST at the time of receipt of advance in relation to supply of goods. तो जब आप goods supply कर रहे हो तब आपको GST एडवांस पे करने की जरूरत नहीं है. तो इसका मतलब क्या हुआ कि ये जो है ये कंडीशंस वैलिड नहीं होगा, इवन दो लॉ में है, क्योंकि हम लॉ की बात कर रहे हैं तो लॉ में तो है, लेकिन नोटिफिकेशन के तहत, बिकॉज ऑफ दिस नोटिफिकेशन दिस कंडीशन विल नॉट बी रिलेवेंट. तो आप सब सप्लाई ऑफ गुड्स करते हो, देन द टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई ऑफ गुड्स इज ओनली डेट ऑफ इश्यू ऑफ इनवॉइस. लॉ से हटाया नहीं है, बट नोटिफिकेशन के थ्रू रिलैक्सेशन दिया गया. समझे यहां तक? फिर धीरे धीरे देखेंगे कि हमने देखा है कि टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई ऑफ गुड्स है, डेट ऑफ इश्यू ऑफ इनवॉइस और रिसिप्ट ऑफ पेमेंट. एंड डेट ऑफ इश्यू ऑफ इनवॉइस कब करना है, सेक्शन 31 बताया था ना, दिस इज 31 सेज दैट, यहाँ पे हमने बताया था सेक्शन 31 पढ़ेंगे. दिस 31 itself is here, it says आपको कब इनवॉइस रेज करना है. 31 सेज डेट ऑफ इश्यू ऑफ इनवॉइस भी डिसाइड करने के लिए 31 बोलता है उसको दो बाइफर्केशन करो, where the supply involves movement and the supply does not involve movement. Where the supply involves movement, the time when you remove goods, that is the time of issue of invoice, and other than movement, delivery of the goods or making the goods available. कि इसको प्रैक्टिकल समझेंगे कि मैंने डिसाइड अग्रीमेंट किया है आपके साथ that I will sell you 100 water bottles. ठीक है, now water bottles are goods which are movable and the supply involves movement. goods तो movable ही रहेंगे, movable नहीं रहेंगे तो immovable रह जाएंगे, goods ही नहीं कहा जाएगा. anything which is movable is only goods. Now the question here is not whether the goods are movable, whether the supply involves movement. ये सप्लाई करने के लिए गुड्स का सप्लाई में मूवमेंट है, हाँ ना, पानी का सप्लाई करूंगा मैं, वाटर बॉटल्स का सप्लाई करूंगा तो मूवमेंट तो है. तो सप्लाई इन्वॉल्व्स मूवमेंट. So when the date I remove these goods, that is the time of supply. इसका मतलब है फैक्ट्री गेट से जब बना के पैकिंग करके डिस्पैच के लिए रेडी रखूंगा, आई एम रेडी टू रिमूव दिस गुड्स, उसके पहले मुझे इनवॉइस रेज करना है। ठीक है, इसका मतलब क्या हुआ, अगर मैं डिस्पैच करके रिमूव करता हूं गुड्स और इनवॉइस रेज करना भूल गया हूं, ओके निष्ठाला, होप यू आर कंफर्टेबल विद हिंदी। If I have to remove these goods and I forgot to raise an invoice, then the time of supply is still the date when I remove the goods, not the date of invoice. क्योंकि मुझे कहा गया था इनवॉइस आपको ये गुड्स रिमूव करने से पहले रेज करना है, लेकिन मैंने तो गुड्स रिमूव कर दिया लेकिन इनवॉइस रेज नहीं किया, तो टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई इनवॉइस नहीं रह जाएगा फिर, बिकॉज एक कट ऑफ टाइम दिया था कि आपको रिमूव करने पे इनवॉइस रेज करना है, आपने रिमूव कर दिया लेकिन इनवॉइस रेज नहीं किया, आपकी गलती है, आपको टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई विल बी डेट ऑफ रिमूवल इटसेल्फ। ठीक है, नेक्स्ट, इन केस ऑफ अदर देन मूवमेंट, जब गुड्स रिमूवेबल नहीं है, एग्जाम्पल बताइए, हमने ये डिस्कस किया था पहले भी, व्हाट इज द सिनेरियो ऑफ गुड्स नॉट इन्वॉल्विंग मूवमेंट? Very good, you remember, nice. Sale of fans in a building, property sale when the goods are already attached. Yes, very nice. So those things are there. Correct. So in such situation where I have sold a property, which is an immobile property, लेकिन उसके अंदर movable goods है, where the goods does not, supply does not involve movement. I have sold to you, the goods will be there only. So there is no movement of the goods. Their time of supply will be delivery of the goods or making the goods available. When you make the goods available to them, that will be the time of supply. So before that time, you have to raise a invoice. Lease, yes, there is no movement of goods, invoice. Yes, in case, I will come to your question. So in both these cases, at this point of time, that is removal of good or making the goods available, this is the time of supply. Now, what happens if you raise an invoice late? Then you have to pay interest. Then you have to pay interest. Interest has to be paid from this date, from the date of time of supply decided by section 31 till the date you make the payment. Till that period, you have to pay interest. Clear, Unni? Okay, the exception, वहां पे भी एक exception देखा था हमने. What is that exception? The exception says is where the receipt of amount is up to rupees 1,000 in excess, and then that case supply is deemed to have been made to the extent of invoice or value of payment. So since in this case we don't have receipt of payment, this exception is not relevant. We will discuss on this exception when we come to time of supply of services. Okay, clear till now? Now, there is something called as a continuous supply of goods. What is continuous supply of goods? I will read the definition because I can't explain in much better manner because the definition is giving you complete details. A continuous supply of goods means a supply of goods which is provided or agreed to be provided continuously. Okay. Continuous supply of goods means a supply of goods which is provided or agreed to be provided continuously or on recurrent basis. Continuous supply हो रहा है without any break or on a recurrent basis under a contract, whether or not by means of a wire, cable, pipeline, or other conduit. You are entering into a continuous supply through one of these modes. वायर से क्या पास होता है? इलेक्ट्रिसिटी. केबल से क्या पास होता है? इंटरनेट. पाइपलाइन से क्या पास होता है? वाटर, सीमेंट, ऑयल. ऑल ऑफ दीज थिंग्स आर पास थ्रू पाइपलाइंस और एनी अदर conduit, मतलब एनी अदर मोड, any other methodology you are using to continuously supply something, and continuous supply of goods only, because this is continuous supply of goods, or for which the supplier invoices the recipient on a regular or periodic basis and includes supply of such goods as the government may notify. So anything what you are supplying continuously, that is continuous supply. Now continuous supply of services is also similar, but यहाँ पे conduit वगैरह नहीं है. What is the difference there? Continuous supply means a supply of services which is provided or agreed to be provided continuously or on recurrent basis under a contract for a period exceeding 3 months. In continuous supply of goods, there was no mention of period, you're just continuously supplying. But in case of continuous supply of services, intangible hai. So that's why it says if you're doing any supply more than 3 months with periodic payment obligations and include supply of services as may be specified by the government. So supply of goods, continuously supplying. Supply of services, also continuously supplying, but it should be at least for a minimum period of 3 months. That is continuous supply of services. In case, what is the time of supply in such cases? Because normal supply, we know the date when the invoice is to be issued. Before that, that is the time of supply. But in case of continuously I am supplying, I am a ONGC. I am supplying oil. ONGC supplies, no, Indian Oil Corporation will take an example. Indian Oil Corporation supplies fuel to aircrafts. Okay? Now, petrol के ऊपर तो GST नहीं है, और से पेट्रोल के ऊपर GST रहता, और say you are supplying some product on which GST is there. Okay, so you are supplying some kind of oil. Petrol is exempted, but lubricant oil is taxable. So this lubricating oil you are supplying through a pipeline through this aircraft company. You are Indian Oil Corporation, you are supplying. Now, when you're supplying to them, they will not ask you for 1 bottle, 2 bottle, 1 can or something. They tell we need it continuously. So you, Indian Oil Company, you arrange for a pipeline. Whenever we want, we will open it and take it. How will I know how much you have taken? You keep a meter, no, near the tap. On the meter, the tap will be there. On the tap, meter will be there. How much I have taken, you will get to know it. Okay. So this is supply through a pipe. Correct. Now, I will not come and take measurement every day. Correct. Like one aircraft, there are multiple aircraft. So I have to supply to multiple people. So when I supply to multiple people, the person, when I'm supplying, he will record it, and the Indian Oil Company will come once in a month or 15 days, take the reading and see, okay, you have consumed 20,000 liters, you have consumed 10,000 liters. In that case, yes, continuous supply. हिंदी में ही बोल रहा हूँ. जब इंडियन ऑयल के पास पाइपलाइन में मैं यूज करता हूँ और उसके पाइपलाइन से ऑयल लेता हूँ, तब मेरा सप्लाई एक ही दिन नहीं रुकता है, वो कंटिन्यूसली आ रहा है ना. तब एक टाइम पीरियड हम लोग फिक्स कर देंगे, 15 दिन या 1 महीने का. उसके बेसिस पे रीडिंग लेगा इंडियन ऑयल कंपनी, फिर मेरे को इनवॉइस रेज करेगा. तो उस केस में टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई क्या हो जाएगा? इन केस ऑफ कंटिन्यूस सप्लाई ऑफ गुड्स वेयर सक्सेसिव पेमेंट of where successive statements of accounts are, the payments are involved, the invoice shall be issued before or at the time each such statement is issued. हम दोनों ने अग्री कर दिया है कि आपको 15 दिन में आपको इनवॉइस रेज करना है, तब 15वें दिन के पहले मुझे इनवॉइस रेज कर देना चाहिए. Okay, where successive statement of accounts or successive payments are involved before that time I have to raise an invoice. Okay. Sir, in case of car petrol, GST is charged or any other tax is charged? So, Kritika, it clearly shows that you have not attended the previous sessions because we have discussed on the petroleum products. I will not give you an answer. Please go to the previous recordings on supply, okay, on the definition of supply. There you will get your answers. If you don't get your answers still, then you come back to the next class. But it's very important that you go through the session on supply. Okay? So in case of continuous supply of goods, where statement of accounts is involved or payment is involved, that will be the time of supply. On continuous supply of services, we'll come to know. First one, we learn what is the time of supply for services first. सुमित, आपका क्या क्वेश्चन है? Audible. Audible is taxable under GST. If you're saying Audible जो e-book है, then Audible is a kind of supply of service, right? So it is e-books. They're providing this books through digital mechanism. So it is a e-book. So it is not a goods, it's a service. So it will be liable to GST and supply of service. Correct, Unikesh. No GST on petrol, you're right, but GST is applicable on furnace oil and light diesel, yes. And sometimes what happens, I will tell you my life experience that when I go and buy some costly items, okay, when you're buying some costly items, आपको सतर्क रहना चाहिए कि आप सब ज्वेलरी खरीदते हो. ओके, मेरे केस में तो मैं मैरिड हूँ, तो मैं घर से अप्रूवल लेना चाहता हूँ. क्यों? क्योंकि लेके जाऊंगा मेरी पसंद का, घर पे तो उनका पसंद नहीं होगा, तो फिर मुझे फिर से रिटर्न करना पड़ेगा और शॉपकीपर बोलेगा नहीं मैं रिटर्न नहीं लूंगा. ठीक है, तब किसको लगेगा चूना? मुझे तो लग जाएगा पूरा जीएसटी, क्योंकि सप्लायर तो जीएसटी चार्ज करके फिर से मुझे रिफंड नहीं देगा, ना तो फिर मुझे वैल्यू ऑफ द गोल्ड भी देगा. जब भी मैं गोल्ड खरीदता हूँ तब क्या बोलता हूँ शॉपकीपर को, भैया आप मुझे ये दो सिलेक्शन दे दीजिए, दो डिजाइन दे दीजिए, घर पे सिलेक्शन करके आता हूँ. ठीक है, तो फिर घर पे जाके अप्रूवल करके लाऊंगा. अप्रूव जो हुआ है वो खरीद लूंगा और जो अप्रूव नहीं है वो रिटर्न कर दूंगा. उसे कहते हैं सेल अप्रूवल फॉर सेल और रिटर्न बेसिस, where the goods are being sent or taken on approval for sale or return basis. मतलब उन्होंने goods तो दे दिया है लेकिन सेल नहीं हुआ है क्योंकि दिस इज ऑन अप्रूवल बेसिस. देन द इनवॉइस का भी शो करना चाहिए before or at the time of supply or 6 months from the date of removal. मैंने गुड्स दिया है, ठीक है, शॉपकीपर ने गुड्स दिया है, कस्टमर को अप्रूवल के लिए 6 महीने की टाइम है. अगर 6 महीने में भी वो रिटर्न नहीं करता है तो 6th मंथ के एंड में शॉपकीपर को शॉपकीपर को इनवॉइस रेज कर देना चाहिए. अगर अप्रूवल उसके पहले आ जाता है तो तब जब अप्रूवल आ जाए तब इनवॉइस रेज कर देना चाहिए. ठीक है, बट ऑन अप्रूवल शेयर अप्रूवल बेसिस मैक्सिमम टाइम इज 6 months. एंड अभी टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई ऑफ गुड्स अंडर रिवर्स चार्ज. रिवर्स चार्ज में कब पे करना चाहिए? डेट ऑफ रिसिप्ट ऑफ द गुड्स और डेट इमीडिएटली फॉलोइंग 30 days फ्रॉम द डेट ऑफ इश्यू ऑफ इनवॉइस और द डेट ऑफ पेमेंट विच एवर इज अर्लियर. ठीक है, रिवर्स चार्ज में जब पे करते हैं तब तीन कंडीशन है: डेट ऑफ रिसिप्ट ऑफ गुड्स, डेट इमीडिएटली फॉलोइंग 30 days और डेट ऑफ पेमेंट. इस पे डेट ऑफ पेमेंट का एग्जेम्पशन नहीं रहेगा. क्योंकि वो जो एग्जामेशन था वो सिर्फ फॉरवर्ड चार्ज वाले पे था। टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई ऑफ वाउचर्स, अभी वाउचर्स में आते हैं। GST will attract only after approval. Yes, Unikrishnan, after approval. But the approval, if it is taking more time, what is more time? More than 6 months time, then it should be raised on the end of 6 months and not waiting for the approval. Okay. Now vouchers. What are vouchers? When we go to lifestyle, when we go to any kind of shopping complex, they'll give vouchers which says that you pay 500 rupees, you take this voucher, and you can buy goods anytime later on. You can use this for any services later on. They are called vouchers. So, what is the time limit for what vouchers? तो ज्वेलरी पे क्या होगा? अगर दोनों ज्वेलरी पे नहीं, जब मैंने ज्वेलरी दो खरीदा है, अप्रूवल एक ही का लिया है, एक रिटर्न कर चुका हूँ, करेक्ट। जब मैं एक रिटर्न कर चुका हूँ तब मैंने कुछ खरीदा ही नहीं है। सो व्हेन फ्रॉम अ शॉपकीपर्स पर्सपेक्टिव, उसने दो अप्रूवल पे दिया था, एक तो सेल हुआ ही नहीं है, तो एक के ऊपर जीएसटी तो चार्ज करेगा नहीं क्योंकि वो सप्लाई हुआ नहीं है। तो सेकेंड वाला अप्रूव हो गया है तो उसके ऊपर वो जीएसटी चार्ज करेगा। So then interest loss to government for 6 months, huh? To that extent, you could say interest loss, because if you don't have this control, then you cannot like raise invoice now and then reverse it and things like that. That's why on specifically on sale on approval basis, but everybody doesn't sell on approval basis. No, specific industry only will sell it. That's why they are okay with it, because not all transactions in the trade happens through approval basis, that they know. Clear, Tanu? ठीक है, अभी वाउचर्स, जब हम वाउचर्स खरीदते हैं, अगर आई गो टू अ स्टील स्टॉक, स्टील की दुकान का वाउचर है, तब मैं क्या खरीदूंगा? स्टील ही खरीदूंगा। और सो इट मींस द सप्लाई इज आइडेंटिफाइबल, कि मैं क्या खरीदूंगा उस वाउचर से वो आइडेंटिफाइबल है। देन द टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई इज डेट ऑफ इश्यू ऑफ दिस वाउचर। ओके। इन अदर केसेस व्हेन द वाउचर इज नॉट आइडेंटिफाइबल, जब मैं एक लाइफस्टाइल का वाउचर लेता हूँ, तब मैं कुछ भी गुड्स खरीद सकता हूँ और गुड्स का रेट अलग अलग है। अगर मैं बेसिक प्लान्स खरीदूंगा तो 0% है। अगर मैं कुछ सोप आइटम खरीदूंगा तो 5% है। इफ आई बाई समथिंग वाटर बॉटल्स, देन इट बी 12%, और कुछ और खरीदता हूं तो 18%। सो इट मीन्स द सप्लाई इज नॉट आइडेंटिफाइबल। If the supply is not identifiable, ठीक है, if the supply is not identifiable, then the date when I redeem the voucher, that is the time of supply. If the voucher is for identifiable goods, then the time of supply is when I issue the voucher itself, क्योंकि तब तो मुझे पैसा आ गए हैं, करेक्ट। that will be the time of supply. In case of non identifiable, अभी जीएसटी नहीं लगेगा। जीएसटी कब लगेगा? then when it is redeemed. हाँ तनु, आपका क्वेश्चन है, अगर दोनों लेके गए और कोई भी अप्रूव नहीं हुआ तो फिर दोनों रिटर्न हो गए, तो सप्लाई कुछ नहीं है तो जीएसटी नहीं लगेगा। जीएसटी कब लगता है? जब मैं कुछ सप्लाई करता हूं। अगर मैंने सप्लाई ही नहीं किया तो जीएसटी नहीं लगेगा। नो प्रॉब्लम सुशील, आप लेट आए हो तो आप उसके जो भी हमने अब तक पढ़ाई किया है उसका रिकॉर्डिंग आप प्लीज देखिए। Supplier need approval, but who is approver on sales return basis? On sales and return basis, the customer is the person who is approving. Supplier will need approval from the customer, na? So the customer only will approve. Prepaid coupons given by Reliance like company for general products purchased with different GST rates. Then the supply is not identifiable only. In that case, GST will be payable at the time of redemption. If it is not possible to determine the time of supply through any of these provision 1, 2, 3, and 4, then the time of supply will be, this is a special clause which says that where you're not able to decide for the time of supply in any of these cases, then the time of supply will be, if the periodic return has to be filed, then the date of return filed. In all other cases, when the tax is. Okay. Now we'll go to time of supply vouchers, where the supply is identified, date of issue of voucher. If it is not identified, then the date of redemption. And residual clause says that where it is not possible to determine if periodic return is filed, then such date, or in other cases, the date on which tax is paid. Now, special charges. Okay. What is the time limit for special charges is when there is a special charge. Now you have supplied something and you have to pay consideration for this supply. Uske alawa what happens? You have to pay something for delay. अब delay के लिए IPL pay करेगा. What is IPL? Interest, penalty, or any late fees. Okay. In that case, GST is all payable on the receipt basis only, not on the invoice basis. Even though supply of goods is not on receipt basis, but for IPL, interest, penalty, and late payment charges, GST is on receipt basis only. Actual जब receipt होगा ये तभी GST लगेगा. In all other cases, is it linked to the original supply? Yes. Then GST is based on debit note. If it is a supply by itself, then it is separate. Now we'll move to GS. What is the time limit for time of supply? Is there an example for section 12.5? Not any section example as such in Stella, which I can remember. It's just a precautionary clause saying that if none of this satisfy, at least this you have to pay. That's why it's like a then it's like a safeguarding clause. Now, time of supply for services. Time of supply of services is if the invoice is issued within a specified time limit. Supply of goods वहां पे था date of issue of invoice at the time of removal of goods. But in case of supply of services, is you have to issue the invoice within 30 days of completion of service. Once you complete the service, you have to raise an invoice within 30 days. Have you raised the invoice within 30 days in time? Yes. Then the time of supply is issue of the invoice or receipt of payment, whichever is earlier. Okay. Date of issue of invoice or receipt of payment, whichever is earlier. If the invoice is issued late, you have given 30 days time and 45 days for specific cases, but you have given 30 days time. आपने invoice time पे raise नहीं किया, तो फिर time of supply will be the receipt of payment or provision of service, whichever is earlier. What is receipt of payment? Receipt of payment is payment in the books of accounts or payment credited to your bank, whichever is earlier. क्योंकि आपके बैंक में क्रेडिट हो गया, लेकिन आपके बुक्स में आपने एंट्री करना भूल गए हो, तब आप ये नहीं बोल सकते हो कि टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई मैंने बुक्स में जब किया वो है, वो नहीं चलेगा. अगर आपके बैंक अकाउंट में क्रेडिट हो गया तब भी टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई हो जाएगा. तो रिसिप्ट ऑफ पेमेंट इज दिस. तो टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई ऑफ सर्विसेज, फर्स्टली आपको 30 डेज टाइम रखना चाहिए कि आपने इनवॉइस 30 डेज के अंदर इश्यू किया है क्या. हाँ किया है तो फिर फाइन. हैव यू इश्यूड द इनवॉइस विद इन 30 डेज? हाँ, मैंने टाइम पे किया है। तो फिर आपका टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई हो जाएगा इश्यूएंस ऑफ इनवॉइस और रिसिप्ट ऑफ पेमेंट। आपने इनवॉइस टाइम पे रेज नहीं किया है, 30 डेज के बाद किया है, तो आपका टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई हो जाएगा द प्रोविजन ऑफ सर्विस, नॉट द डेट ऑफ इनवॉइस। आपका इनवॉइस लेट हो गया, आपको डेट ऑफ प्रोविजन ऑफ सर्विस समझना चाहिए। इसके लिए एक एग्जांपल देखते हैं। आपने इनवॉइस, आईपीएल के ऊपर भी जीएसटी, हाँ, इंटरेस्ट पेनाल्टी लेट फीस भी सप्लाई है। करेक्ट, बिकॉज इट इज रिलेटेड टू सप्लाई ना, आपने सप्लाई किया और सामने वाले ने लेट किया है, तो इंटरेस्ट पेनाल्टी और लेट फीस के ऊपर भी जीएसटी लगता है। ओके, नाउ वन एग्जांपल। हम ये चार्ट देख चुके हैं। अब मैंने आपको सर्विस प्रोवाइड किया है ऑन द 30th of April, ठीक है, प्रोविजन ऑफ सर्विस हो गया है। अब मैंने इनवॉइस रेज किया है, ठीक है, 30th April का जो है, मैंने इनवॉइस रेज किया है, अप्रैल को मैंने सर्विस खत्म कर दिया है, और 30th May को मैंने इनवॉइस रेज किया है। तो फिर टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई क्या होगा? डेट बताइए। मैंने डेट बोला है ना, तो आपको भी डेट के हिसाब से बोलना। टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई इज अ स्पेसिफिक टाइम। 30th April को मैंने इन खत्म किया है सर्विस, और मैंने इनवॉइस रेज किया 30th May को। व्हाट इज द टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई? बोलिए, चैट में भी आप रिप्लाई कर सकते हो। 30th May, करेक्ट। रिसिप्ट ऑफ पेमेंट, हाँ, जब राइट पूछा, अभी तक हमने रिसिप्ट का बात नहीं किया, 30th May ही है। करेक्ट, इनवॉइस अगर मैंने 30th May, बिकॉज मैंने इनवॉइस टाइम पे रेस कर दिया है। करेक्ट। नाउ इनवॉइस 30th May को है, करेक्ट, और मुझे पेमेंट मिला है 15th June को। इनवॉइस 30th May, और पेमेंट मिला है 15th June। इन दैट केस व्हाट विल बी द टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई? Non-installer. You got the right answer now, right? So be careful. Then also 30th May, correct? Because issue of invoice or receipt of payment, whichever is earlier, invoice I have issued on 30th May and payment received later on. So it is this is it. Now, same scenario, 30th April, I've completed my service. Okay. Receipt on 15th May, no, 15th of May, 15th of April. 15th of April is the receipt of payment. Invoice issued on 30th June. What is the time of supply? Invoice, you are not considering Bhumika and Ruhani. 30th June, Kritika. Okay, because 30th June, I have raised the invoice. Correct, Kritika? That is your thinking. Kritika, I've issued the invoice late. No, I have to issue the invoice within 30 days. Now I've issued the invoice late. So how can it be 30th June? पूजा आपका आंसर क्या बोलता है? आपके आंसर के लिए वेट कर रहा हूं मैं. Most of you are saying 15th April. I've issued the invoice late. No, still it will be 15th April, is it? Correct. Because time of supply is receipt of payment or issue of or the in this case provision of service, whichever is earlier. In my case, receipt of payment. Now, instead of receiving the advance, I have not received the advance. I have received the advance after I raise the invoice. What will be the time of supply? Got my question? All other facts remain the same. I have not received the payment at all. Till now, I have not received the payment. What is the time of supply? मैंने सप्लाई किया है, कस्टमर ने मुझे पे ही नहीं किया है. Only Christian, give me a correct date. You are saying he cannot claim ITC if payment not made within 180 days? Why should he avail the ITC? He is a supplier. Okay. Please mention the dates again. Okay. What did I tell? Supply completion of service is 30th April. Invoice raised on 30th June and payment not received. Correct answer, Ruhani. Who else? Who else is given correct answer? Mani, one correct answer. And Tannu Vishwakarma, you have also given a correct answer. Only two correct answers. Pooja correct, Bhumika correct, और रितिका. बहुत सारे लोगों ने आंसर्स दिए, लेकिन आंसर्स अब तक 3-4 लोगों का ही करेक्ट है. रितिका इज आल्सो गिवन करेक्ट आंसर. Nishtala, right? You understood the question now. Yes, you have given a correct answer. So, in case of this scenario, that is 30th April, I have provided the service. I have issued the invoice late, payment not yet received. फिर भी टैक्स तो आपको भरना पड़ेगा. GST is not saying if your customer pay then pay it to me. No, you will have to pay the GST on the time of supply, and time of supply says if you have issued the invoice late. See, 30th June you have raised the invoice and you have not got the payment. Still you have to pay GST at the time of provision, 30th April itself. Okay, or receipt of payment. In this case, I have not received the payment. Still, I have to pay GST on provision of service. I have not paid it. I have raised the invoice in 30th June. I will report it in my July returns. In the June's return, what I file in July. Matlab, for the June returns, what it filed in July, I'll have to consider the time of supply as 30th April. The time of supply is 30th April. And for the delay of 2.5 months, I have to pay interest from 30th April till the 20th of July. Got it? That is where the relevance of time of supply and the interest comes in. Unni Krishnan, your doubt is cleared. Again, your exception is receipt of up to 1,000 in excess. Matlab what? If, example, Airtel raises a bill for 2,500 rupees, I pay them 3,000 rupees. Okay, 2,500 time of supply is issue of invoice. Now this 500 excess I've paid, this is in advance. This is receipt of payment for which invoice is not raised. So time of supply will be on receipt of that 500. But this exception says that if such companies are receiving any supplies and they're receiving amount in up to rupees 1,000 in excess, then the time of supply will be when it is adjusted with next invoice. Don't pay GST on advance. Okay, so any receipt of amount of rupees 1,000 in excess, not advance. That's a receipt of amount about 1,000 excess. When an invoice is raised and the customer is paid in excess, to extent of 1,000 rupees excess, don't pay GST now. You can pay it when the invoice is raised. That relaxation is given. Second exception is supply is deemed to have been made to the extent of invoice or value of payment. मतलब जब भी आप advance ले लेते हो, सप्लाई तो हुआ ही नहीं है, जीएसटी क्या पे करोगे? तो जीएसटी is saying that supply is deemed to be have been made to the extent when the invoice or value of payment is received. Invoice after 30 days or 45 days, when it is 45, yes, I will tell you. 45 days, 30 days is for normal, 45 days is for insurance companies, banking companies, and financial institutions. For them, insurance companies, banking companies, and financial institutions, they get extra 15 days, so they can do it after within 45 days. They can raise the invoice. Normal companies have to do it within 30 days. Now, in case of continuous supply of services, continuous supply of goods, जब वो pipeline होता है, but in case of continuous supply of services, where the due date is ascertainable from a contract. When you have a contract and due date is ascertained, say if it's a building contract and you say monthly you have to pay me, it means monthly time is involved. And why is it continuous supply service? Because I will take years to build that building, and supply of building is a service. So in that case, the time of supply will be when the building getting constructed. Okay, it's a continuous supply of service. अगर मैंने agreement में लिख दिया कि monthly payment करना है, then time of supply will be at the end of the month. And when the due date is not ascertainable from the contract, the invoice can be issued before or at the time when the supply of service receives the payment. Okay, if it is not mentioned in the contract कि monthly raise करना है, but हर 2 महीने में पेमेंट आ जाता है, पेमेंट के पहले मुझे इनवॉइस रेज करना है. अगर कुछ भी नहीं पता चलता है, where the payment is linked to completion of an event. अभी कुछ बिल्डिंग कंस्ट्रक्शन में क्या होता है, स्लैब बेसिस होता है कि मैंने फर्स्ट फ्लोर पे कर दिया, आपको 10% पे करना है, सेकेंड फ्लोर कंस्ट्रक्ट कर दिया, आपको 20% पे करना है, वेयर इट इज रिलेटेड टू अ इवेंट, जैसे कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ स्लैब्स, कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ फ्लोर्स, वो भी इवेंट है। जब ये इवेंट खत्म होती है, जब आप इनवॉइस रेस करते हो, उसके उसके पहले इवेंट कंप्लीट होने के पहले आपको इनवॉइस रेस करना है। दैट इज इन केस ऑफ कंटिन्यूस सप्लाई ऑफ सर्विसेज। एंड जब सर्विस कैंसिल हो जाता है, वेयर द सप्लाई ऑफ सर्विस सीजेस, मतलब सर्विसेज खत्म हो जाता है, तब आपको टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई के सब टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई कब होगा? वेयर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट before the completion of supply, the invoice shall be issued at the time when the supply ceases, मतलब जब कैंसिल कर देते हो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, तब तक का वैल्यू का आपको इनवॉइस रेस करना पड़ेगा। एंड रिवर्स चार्ज बेसिस के लिए हम यहाँ पे समझ लेंगे। आरसीएम ऑफ गुड्स क्या बोलता है? अर्लीस्ट ऑफ रिसिप्ट ऑफ गुड्स और डेट ऑफ पेमेंट और 30 days फ्रॉम द इश्यू ऑफ इनवॉइस, इफ नॉट द डेट ऑफ रिकॉर्डिंग द सप्लाई। आरसीएम फॉर सर्विसेज डेट, रिसिप्ट ऑफ गुड्स तो नहीं होगा, तो फर्स्ट कंडीशन नहीं है। डेट ऑफ पेमेंट है, और 60 days from the issue of invoice, whichever is earliest, if not the date of recording. So reverse charge for goods will be three criteria. Payment of GST on reverse charge of services will be two criteria: date of payment or 60 days from the issue of invoice. In case of associate enterprises, supplier located is outside India, the date of recording of supply in the recipient books. इसको कैसे समझेंगे? ऐसे समझेंगे कि supply of services from an associated enterprise outside India है, ठीक है, आपका associate enterprise outside India है और आप इंडिया में हो, और आपको रिवर्स चार्ज पे करना पड़ेगा। क्यों पे करना पड़ेगा भाई? क्योंकि आप जब बाहर से कुछ सर्विस रिसीव करते हो, तब ये हो जाता है इम्पोर्ट ऑफ सर्विस। आप आउटसाइड इंडिया से जब पे करते हो, तब कुछ सर्विस रिसीव करते हो, ये इंपोर्ट ऑफ सर्विस हो जाएगा। इंपोर्ट ऑफ सर्विस पे क्या करना पड़ेगा? रिवर्स चार्ज पे करना पड़ेगा। तो रिवर्स चार्ज कब पे करेंगे? टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई फॉर सच सिनारियो इज डेट ऑफ एंट्री ऑफ सर्विस इन द बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स और डेट ऑफ पेमेंट। क्यों भैया? क्योंकि मैं पेमेंट करूं ना करूं, लेकिन जब मैं बुक्स में एंट्री कर देता हूं, टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई आ जाएगा। whichever is earlier, I have to make the payment accordingly. Invoice not generated, how to report these case on date of provision of service basis, or how to show it in GSTR1. So invoice not generated, still time of supply is getting triggered. So you classify it under B2C transaction and report it. Still you have to pay GST in that. Okay, if you are so very sure that you have not generated, which means that it is not a mistake, you are purposefully doing it, so better raise the invoice that time. But if you know that as an auditor the client has not raised the invoice but supply is triggered, you pay GST through treating it as a B2C transaction. Their invoice number disclosure is not required. Advance payment to works contracted, yes, GST is payable, yes, still payable. Sir, you said service has been provided on 30th April and payment is 15th April. In that case, advance payment. Yes, in that case, it is this. We had discussed a scenario where 30th April, I have provided the service, I have raised the invoice on 30th June and invoice is not received. In that case, what will happen? What is your question exactly, Aparna? Yes, 60 days in RCM from self-invoice date? No. In the case of 60 days, this is 60 days from the date of issue of invoice from the suppliers. No. In case of RCM of services, 1 minute, I'll just read the law. Very interesting question. The time of supply shall be the earliest of the following: date of payment as entered, or the date immediately following 60 days from the date of issue of invoice by whatever name by the supplier. So they have specifically used the word 60 days from the date of issue of invoice by the supplier. So not from the recipient, from the supplier, once the supplier raises the invoice within 60 days. Even though GST, when you pay under reverse charge, you have to raise a self invoice. That's true. But here, the time of supply says specifically 60 days from the date of issue of invoice by the supplier. Because even though if he's unregistered, he will not issue a tax invoice, but he'll issue a normal invoice. No, from that date onwards. Good question. Aparna, your doubt is cleared? Krishnan, your doubt is cleared? Okay, so let's go to the MCQs. This is very simple chapter, right? Time of supply. हमको सिर्फ फ्लो चार्ट याद करना है. फ्लो चार्ट याद करेंगे तो हमको आंसर भी याद हो जाएंगे, कॉन्सेप्ट्स भी याद हो जाएंगे. Okay. Positive Advisors Private Limited provided vouchers to its employees worth 5,000 on 29th October 21 on the occasion of its 8th anniversary, which is on 28th October. The voucher value can be used either for purchase of goods or purchase of services. Voucher can be redeemed anytime. Few of its employees redeemed vouchers on 26 June 2022. What is the time of supply? Yeah. First one answer is A. 29th October, date of issue of voucher. कैसे रूहानी? 29th November. नवंबर कैसे भैया? The voucher what is being given is not identifiable because it can be used for purchase of goods and purchase of services. So how do you know? Is it identifiable? Then it is not identifiable, right? Because goods will have different rates, services will have a different rate. 28th October. Why is it 28th October? Because the anniversary of the company was on 28th October. And vouchers are issued on 29th October. Why 28th October then? Firstly, 28th October not possible because that's the anniversary of the company. The time of supply can be either issue of voucher or redemption of voucher. Issue of voucher happened on 29th October. Correct? So it can be either 29th October or redemption. Somebody has said 29th November also. 30 days यहाँ पे लगा दिया नहीं. Redemption of voucher or not redemption of voucher. It is a redeemable voucher, but it is not identifiable. तो फिर actual redemption जब है, that will be the time of supply. तो इस केस में क्या हुआ? इस केस में voucher redeemable है. तो redemption जब है तब होगा. तो redemption is happening on 26 June. So time of supply is 26 June, my dear friends. 26 June is the time of supply. क्लियर? जिन्होंने कंफ्यूज हो गए, ठीक है अभी। करेक्ट, सप्लाई इज नॉट आइडेंटिफाइबल. Which of the following is the time of supply in case of supply of goods where RCM is applicable? Second one, A, C, D, B. Wow, all options. सभी options खुल गए मुझे. A is also there, B is also there, C is also there, D is also there. Let's go with highest ratings. The highest ratings is very simple, है ना? The time of supply of goods is date of receipt of the goods or date immediately 30 days or 60 days. That's the confusion. Date of receipt of goods or date of payment, whichever is earlier. That is the case for forward charge. But we are talking about reverse charge. Reverse charge का मैंने आपको चार्ट बताया था ना? It was very simple. Date of RCM on supply of goods. ऑप्शन बी कैसे होगा मेरे भाई? ऑप्शन बी तो नहीं होगा. डेट इमीडिएटली फॉलोइंग 30 days from the date of issue of invoice. नहीं. In case of reverse charge for goods, I think you have missed out that slide. Let me go back to that slide. Why so many wrong answers? Date of receipt of goods or date of payment or 30 days from the issue of invoice. Okay, receipt of goods or payment or 30 days from the date of issue of invoice. That is for goods. For services, payment or 60 days from the issue of invoice. Receipt of goods, date immediately following 30 days from the date of invoice or date of payment. Option, correct option is D. Okay. Please remember these dates. Goods, services separate. सिर्फ चार्ट्स पे आप ध्यान रखिए, आपको आंसर मिल जाएगा. RCM goods case example. This tobacco is there, cotton is there. They are coming under reverse charge for goods. Raw tobacco, they are coming under reverse charge for. समझे? Third question. Ms. Gomati provided professional services Mr. Dinesh on 29th May 2022. Invoice is issued on 28th June 22. Payment is received on 1st July 22. What is the time of supply? अरे इसमें भी वैरायटी मिल रहा है मुझे. Time of supply is not a confusing chapter. It's an easy chapter. Why are you getting confused? Invoice in case of time of supply of services, invoice should be issued on time. Has the invoice been issued on time? Yes, 29 June को provide किया था. Invoice raise किया था within 30 days, 28 June. Correct? So time of supply is issue of invoice or receipt of payment, whichever is earlier. Invoice is issued on 28th June. So the time of supply is 28th June only. Correct answer is B. 30th जून नहीं होगा ना, क्योंकि 30th जून का तो इधर रेलेवेंस ही नहीं है. वो तो सिर्फ आपको कंफ्यूज करने के लिए दिया है. Correct. Invoice or payment, whichever is earlier, because invoice is issued within 30 days time. Correct answer is B. Which of the following is time of supply in case of supply of services where reverse charge mechanism is applicable? Yes. This time everybody has given a correct answer. Correct answer is C. Date of payment or date immediately following 60 days from the date of issue of invoice, whichever is the अभी तो slide देखा है ना, तो you will know this answer correctly. Very smart people. ठीक है. Last question. Mr. Karthik provided services to Mr. Gautam on 12th June 22. Invoice is issued on 15th February 2022 and date of payment is 22nd March. What is the time of supply? Good, Rohani, you're giving answers really fast. Correct answer, Bhumika and Rohani. पूजा 15th February कैसे होगा? 15th February. अनम्यूट करके बता सकते हो?
बारह फरवरी सर, ये 12 जनवरी को इनवॉइस इशू किया है, तो
हाँ.
15 फरवरी को इनवॉइस इशू किया, 12 जनवरी को सर्विस दी है, तो सर्विस के विद इन 30 डेज हो गया. एंड 22 मार्च को पेमेंट किया है, तो सर ये विद इन 30 डेज इनवॉइस इशू हो गया, तो इनवॉइस डेट और पेमेंट डेट विच एवर इज अर्लियर, तो 15/5 आएगा।
थियोरेटिकली आपका कॉन्सेप्ट करेक्ट है, लेकिन मैथमेटिकली आप फंस गए हो। 20 जनवरी से 30 डेज कब खत्म होता है?
सर 12 जनवरी। ओ
ट्वेल्थ
सॉरी।
ट्वेल्थ
ठीक है सर।
जनवरी
ओके सर।
खत्म होता है 11 फरवरी को,
यस सर।
और इनवॉइस रीच किया 15 फरवरी, मतलब इनवॉइस लेट हो चुका है।
जी सर, जी सर।
ठीक है, ठीक है। तो द टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई इज issue of the provision of service, which is on the 12th of January, which is the time of supply. So the time of
यस।
supply is 12th
यस
of
सर।
January. If it is financial institution, then 15. You're right. So if there is no specific mention only, then we will assume that it's a normal person. If it's a banking institution, then you're right, 15th. Okay, let's take a break of 10 minutes. And after the break, we will discuss on value of supply. We understood what is the time of supply very clearly. Now, next we'll go to the value of supply. Welcome back. Like how we discussed time of supply, we will discuss the value of supply. Okay. What is time of supply? Time of supply is that time when you have to pay GST. Okay. Now time तो आ गया. अभी क्या वैल्यू पे जीएसटी पे करना है? क्यों? क्योंकि जब मैं आपको सप्लाई करता हूँ 100 रुपए पे सप्लाई करूंगा, मेरा दोस्त आएगा, मैं उसे डिस्काउंट देके 80 पे सप्लाई करूंगा। और जब मैं मेरे ब्रांच को सप्लाई करता हूँ, मैं 50 रुपीज में ही सप्लाई करूंगा। और जब मेरा फ्रेंड, मेरा रिलेटिव आ जाएगा, तब मैं उसको 60 पे सप्लाई करूंगा। तो ये वैल्यू अलग अलग लोगों को अलग अलग रेट पे मैं सप्लाई कर रहा हूँ। तो ये वैल्यू ऑफ सप्लाई बताता है आपको कि आपको क्या वैल्यू पे जीएसटी पे करना पड़ेगा। क्योंकि ऐसा नहीं है कि रेट रेगुलराइजेशन है कि आपको यही रेट पे सप्लाई करना पड़ेगा, ऐसा कोई कंपल्शन नहीं है। ठीक है, आपको कंपल्शन नहीं है, तो आप कुछ भी रेट पे सप्लाई कर सकते हो। हमने कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एक्ट में पढ़ा है ना कि व्हेन द बायर एंड सेलर आर अग्रीइंग, दैट इज द प्राइस। तो वो रेट पे आप सेल कीजिए। जीएसटी कब किसके ऊपर लेवी करता है? ऑन वैल्यू डिटरमाइंड अंडर सेक्शन 15। सेक्शन 9 में हमने पढ़ा है जीएसटी इज लेवीड अंडर सेक्शन 9 ऑन द वैल्यू डिटरमाइंड अंडर सेक्शन 15 एंड एट द स्पेसिफाइड रेट्स। ड्यूटी कुड बी एड वैलोरम और स्पेसिफिक ड्यूटी, मतलब जो वैल्यूएशन मैकेनिज्म है किसी भी टैक्सेस का, वो वैल्यू बेसिस पे रह सकता है, उसे कहते हैं एड वैलोरम, और फिर स्पेसिफिक ड्यूटी वैल्यू। इंडिया में दोनों चलता है। जैसे कि आपने कुछ सप्लाई किया, उस सप्लाई के वैल्यू पे जीएसटी लगता है, उसे कहते हैं एड वैलोरम। स्पेसिफिक ड्यूटी कब लगता है? जैसे एग्जांपल टोबैको प्रोडक्ट्स, टोबैको प्रोडक्ट्स में लेंथ ऑफ द टोबैको, लेंथ ऑफ द सिगरेट के ऊपर लगता है, दैट इज कहते हैं स्पेसिफिक ड्यूटी की। आपको लेंथ, आपका वैल्यू कुछ भी होने दीजिए, लेकिन वो लेंथ के ऊपर लेवी होता है। और कुछ मशीनरीज होते हैं कि उनका मशीन कैपेसिटी के बेसिस पे रहता है। आप मशीन पे जो उत्पादन होता है, आप उसको किसी भी रेट पे बेचिए। अगर वही मशीन मैं खरीदता हूँ और मैं उससे कुछ डेवलप करता हूँ, मैं बेचता हूँ 1 लाख रुपए के में, वही मशीनरी कोई और 2 लाख रुपीज पे चार्ज करेगा। लेकिन कोई है जो मैन्युफैक्चर करके कुछ टैक्स ही नहीं पे करेगा। तो इसीलिए उन केसेस में जहां पे चोरी हो सकती है, वहां पर स्पेसिफिक ड्यूटी लगता है, सेइंग दैट आपकी मशीन कैपेसिटी के हिसाब से हम चार्ज करेंगे। उसे कहते हैं स्पेसिफिक ड्यूटी लेवी और एड वैलोरम लेवी। हम एड वैलोरम पे ही डिस्कस करेंगे, जो जीएसटी आपके वैल्यू बेसिस पे है, उसके हिसाब से हम डिसाइड करेंगे। एजेंट ठीक है, कंसिडरेशन ठीक है, हमने पढ़ लिया है, एजेंट थ्योरी है। मनी हमने ऑलरेडी डेफिनेशन देख लिया है। नाउ जो रेलेवेंट इंपॉर्टेंट डेफिनेशन है, दैट इज रिलेटेड पार्टी। द डेफिनेशन ऑफ रिलेटेड पर्सन, हु इज अ रिलेटेड पर्सन। क्योंकि हमने अभी एग्जांपल देखा ना कि जब मैं रिलेटेड पर्सन को सप्लाई करता हूँ, तब जीएसटी रेट अलग होता है। इसीलिए टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई जैसे पॉइंटर्स है, वैसे ही वैल्यू ऑफ सप्लाई में भी पॉइंटर्स है। वैल्यू ऑफ सप्लाई सेज when you are supplying to a related person, then the price is influenced, then the value will be different. Who is a related person? Such persons are officers or directors or of one another's business. जब when one person or when two persons are officers or directors of one another business, then they are called related persons. Okay, when there are two people, they are officers of one another business, then they become related business. When the persons are legally recognized business partners, पार्टनरशिप में लीगली रिकॉग्नाइज्ड पार्टनर्स है, एलएलपी में पार्टनर्स है, दे आर ऑल रिलेटेड पर्संस। सच पर्संस आर एम्प्लॉयर एंड एम्प्लॉई। एम्प्लॉयर एम्प्लॉय में भी very good relation hai, correct? Because employer is dependent on the employee and employee is dependent on the employer, they both are related. Any person directly or indirectly owns, controls or holds 25% or more of the stock holding, मतलब एक इंडिविजुअल है वो 25% से ज्यादा शेयर होल्ड करता है तब वो रिलेटेड बन जाता है। वन ऑफ देम आर डायरेक्टली और इनडायरेक्टली कंट्रोल्स अनदर, कि मैं शेयर होल्डिंग में किसी और के इन्फ्लुएंस से आपके बिजनेस पे कंट्रोल करता हूँ तो इनडायरेक्टली भी कंट्रोल करता हूँ। या फिर होल्डिंग कंपनी है, फिर एक सब्सिडरी है, 50% है, इस सब्सिडरी एक और सब्सिडरी को होल्ड करती है, तो इनडायरेक्टली भी फर्स्ट कंपनी थर्ड कंपनी को कंट्रोल करती है, उसे कहते हैं one of them directly or indirectly controls the another, they are also related, then both of them are indirectly controlled। दो इंडिविजुअल कंपनीज हैं, इन दोनों का मालिक एक है, दोनों का होल्डिंग कोई एक पर्सन होल्ड करता है, सो बोथ ऑफ दीज पीपल आर आल्सो रिलेटेड पर्सन, देन दे टुगेदर डायरेक्टली और इनडायरेक्टली, मैं 30% तुम 30%, दोनों इस कंपनी को 60% होल्ड करते हैं, तो फिर हम दोनों भी रिलेटेड बन जाते हैं। ठीक है, सो देर आर सो मेनी रिलेशनशिप्स ऑफ अ रिलेटेड पार्टी, कोई डायरेक्टली इनडायरेक्टली इन एनी ऑफ दीज रूट्स इफ दे कंट्रोल, देन इट इज अ related party। Then eighth relationship is one of them is a sole agent, sole distributor or sole concessioner of the another, कि आपको मैं एक सोल एजेंट बोलता हूँ, सोल डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर बोलता हूँ, आप ही मेरे एजेंट हो, आप ही मेरे डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर हो, यू कैन सेल इट टू द कस्टमर्स, then we both are related persons। Is there any levy of GST when goods directly taken from factory? Yeah, अब कहां से भी खरीदो, if you're taking from factory also, जीएसटी तो लगेगा ही ना, फैक्ट्री से सेल करो, सेल अल्टीमेटली व्हाट वी बाई, ultimately it actually originates from factory to the distributor, then the wholesaler, then the retailer, then it comes to you, and if you buy directly from the factory still GST is leviable, because GST is levied at each stage of supply. When it is moved from the factory there is a supply, so it can be moved supply from the factory to the distributor or from factory to you, doesn't matter, it is a supply। Okay, what is the value of supply? This one chart says completely the chapter what we want to discuss. We will understand this in separate, and for your revision as a snapshot, as a bird's view, you can see that this is what we will discuss. Section 15(1) says transaction value, that is the price actually paid is the transaction value. Okay. Then 15(1) is transaction value. 15(2) said, okay, transaction value. Now there are certain things to be included that is decided by 15(2) and certain exclusions which is given in 15(3). 15(1) says transaction value, when you should go for transaction value. 15(2) says in spite of transaction value add me, and 15(3) says in spite of transaction value reduce me. Okay, so what is 15(1)? We are understanding that chart in bits and pieces now. 15(1) says that where a transaction is between two persons and who are not related to each other. If the transaction is between two persons who are not related to each other, and two conditions. First is they should not be related, and price should be the sole consideration. Apart from price, if there is something else, sir, I am come to you. Okay, please file my returns. I will charge you 5,000 rupees. Sir, I cannot pay 5,000 rupees. You charge me 3,000 rupees. And I have anyways supplying paper. See, you are using so much of paper. I will supply paper to you free of cost. And you charge me 3,000 rupees. मतलब क्या हुआ? Price is not the sole consideration. There is this 3,000 rupees is the price. This is not the sole consideration for the supply of IT returns. There is a price plus something else. Then I'm failing in this. That 3,000 is not the transaction value. I cannot go to 15(1). In that case, I cannot go to this one. But if he is paying me 5,000 rupees and giving me nothing else, then the price is the sole consideration. In that case, value of supply is the transaction value. What is the meaning of transaction value? Transaction value is the price actually paid or payable. ठीक है? What is the transaction value? Transaction value क्या हो गया? जब मैं transact करता हूं, आपके साथ, देन प्राइस जो आप मुझे पे करते हो या आगे पे करोगे इस ट्रांजैक्शन के लिए, वो है ट्रांजैक्शन वैल्यू। ठीक है, नाउ लेट्स टेक अ एग्जांपल। निष्ठाला मेरे पास आई, मैंने उसे 5,000 रुपीज चार्ज किया आईटी रिटर्न्स का। उन्नी कृष्णन आया, मैंने उससे 4,000 रुपए, क्यों, वो तो केरला में है ना, मेरे पास है, तो इसलिए मैं उसको 4,000 चार्ज करूंगा। और फिर क्या हुआ, तन्नु विश्वकर्मा आई है नॉर्थ से, ठीक है, मैं उसे 6,000 चार्ज करूंगा। निष्ठाला को 5,000, उन्नी को 4,000 और तन्नु को 6,000। तो इन तीनों ट्रांजैक्शन में सप्लाई तो मैं सेम कर रहा हूं, सबके आईटी रिटर्न्स ही फाइल कर रहा हूं। तो इस केस में क्या मैं 15(1) अप्लाई कर सकता हूं? सेकेंडली, इन तीनों ट्रांजैक्शन में वैल्यू क्या होगा? विल इट बी 4, 5, 6 और what will be the price? What will be the value? What will be the value? बोलो बोलो, बाकी लोग कहाँ चले गए हो ब्रेक के बाद? करेक्ट, जो भी लोगों ने आंसर दिया दैट इज करेक्ट। द प्राइस एक्चुअली चार्ज फॉर ईच क्लाइंट। ओके, व्हाई? मैंने तो अलग अलग चार्ज किया है। If the consideration is decided to be 5,000, out of which 3,000 paid email, okay, that example, I'll come back to them. So, in the case of IT return filing, all these people are not related to me. They do not form file, or they do not fall under related party. Okay, so they are not related party. The transaction is between two people who are not related, and price is the sole consideration. Now I can charge separate price for the same services differently. Correct? And this is the bargaining power of each of them. That Unni has come and he's pressed that give me discount, so he took 4,000. I agreed to it. And with Tannu, I said I will charge you premium pricing, so I've charged a higher rate. So this is the price is the sole consideration because there's nothing else which is coming in. So in this, all of this, the individual price 4,000 to Unni, 5,000 to Nishtala, and 6,000 to Tannu. Each of this is individual pricing. The price what I charge, that is the value of supply, which is the price actually paid or payable. Since I've agreed, and if they pay in the future, still this is the price which they will pay. So the price actually paid or payable is the value of supply. Now Ruhani's question is, if the consideration is decided to be 5,000 and out of which 3,000 is paid immediately and rest is paid afterwards, then 5,000 would be payable. Correct, because it is price actually paid or payable. Even future what they will pay me for this transaction is the price. So in this case, 5,000 is the consideration. You're right, Ruhani. Okay. Now 15.1 we understood when we should go transaction value. Now 15.2 says in your transaction value you have to do these adjustments. What all adjustments you have to do? You have to do the following adjustments. This whatever is there in blue, I have to add it, and whatever is there in this red, I have to reduce it. What is there to be added? Any other taxes apart from GST. GST should not add. Apart from GST, if you're adding any other taxes, that has to be added. Then any payment to third parties, that has to be added. Any incidental expenses, that has to be added. Any interest, late fees and penalty, IPL, that also becomes part of the transaction value. And any price linked subsidies, only subsidies given by central government and state government will be excluded. Any other subsidies received other than state government and central government, I have to add it. What I have to reduce? All my discounts. It can be pre-sale discounts or post discount, which is linked to invoices, provided the recipient reverses the ITC. Only two things I will reduce: pre-sale discount and post-sale discount. These two things I can reduce. Post-sale discount के साथ recipient should reverse the ITC. That is the condition. Okay, we'll understand this one by one. What all the additions I have to make? Any taxes, duties. So when I say any taxes, duties for the time being which is levied, which means that say I am giving you a rental and I say the condition is, boss, municipality taxes I have to pay for this building. I will charge that to you. I will not bear it because you are only using it. No, you pay it. Okay, I will pay it to the government, but I will add this in my invoice. So this is any other tax. Okay, because this is not a GST tax, this is a municipal tax. So once I collect anything in my invoice, in my transaction value, apart from the rental, this other taxes on that also GST will be payable, because the 15.2 says that any other taxes you have to add it. Okay. Now TCS, there is something called as a tax collected at source under income tax, wherein if I'm supplying 100 rupees, I have to collect 102 rupees. 2 rupees is TCS. Now this 2 rupees which I collect, you have said no, any other taxes. So on 2 rupees also you pay GST. Then the government came with a circular saying, Baba, TCS is not to be includable because this is tax collected in advance for their TCS purposes, but that is not a tax. So TCS के ऊपर don't pay tax. On 102 rupees, your transaction value was 100, pay GST on 100 only. Okay? Then any other amount that the supplier is liable to pay, which means any I have supplied to you, okay, in relation to any supply, but which has been incurred by the recipient of the supply and not included in the price charge. I supplied to you a building. I will collect full building value, but you said no, cement, no, I don't trust you. You will put duplicate cement. So I will buy the cement and give it to you, reduce the value. So I said I will charge you 1 crore. Cement value is 1 lakh. Okay, 99 lakh rupees I charge. Is this correct? No, because 1 crore is the value. 99 I will charge you. 1 crore, 199 lakhs I will charge you. 1 lakh you paid me indirectly through this. So the value will be 1 crore, not 99 lakhs. Okay. So any amount that the supplier is liable to pay, that also has to be added. Then any incidental expenses, that is any commission, packaging, all of that has to be added. That's why if you see in the GST, in the invoice when we raise for goods, any incidental charges is freight charges. So 50,000 rupees value of goods, freight charges. So that freight charges also has to be included at the composite supply. So main supply only, what you're charging, that has to get included. So what all incidental charges I will add to the value of supply? freight handling charges, inspection certification charges, testing charges, installation charges, payment charges, loading, unloading charges, designing charges, all of this will get included. Then what else to be added? Interest, late fees, or penalty. Time of supply for interest we know is on actual basis. Such charges are in addition to the value of supply, so same rate will be added. So today I raise an invoice for 1 lakh rupees for the goods. You are supposed to make payment within 1 month. You have delayed it. So I will charge interest. But invoice is already raised. No, how will I charge interest? You are saying in 15(2)(d) that in the transaction value you have to add the interest also. But invoice is already raised. And for the late fees, how will you charge interest now? Should I go and alter the invoice? In the cement example, GST is paid twice. Once on cement purchase, then it is being. See, when the person bought it, he would have claimed the credit. Correct? So ideally, what he should do, he should buy it. He is giving it to me, no? Then he should show it as a supply. And then I will raise invoice. So there is no double GST. So he will claim the credit and he will charge me. Because instead of me buying, he has bought it. So he should claim the credit, then I will include it. So there is no double GST. IPL का मतलब interest, P for penalty, L for late fees. So my question was, if I've raised an invoice, how will I charge this IPL? I will charge IPL, interest, late fees, or penalty, through a debit note. So I will raise a debit note for this IPL and then charge it. Okay, debit note is permitted. Then subsidy is directly linked to the price. Anything linked to the price, if there is there, I have to add it. If that subsidy is coming from anybody other than central government and state government, the exception is given is for central government and state government. If it is getting any subsidy directly linked to the price from the central government and state government, then you don't have to add it. Other than central government and state government, you can add. So पांच inclusion हो गए. Now two exclusions. What are these two exclusions? We will understand this with a chapter. Okay, this is again confusion. We'll first discuss. Discount given before or at the time of supply. Supply मेरा agree हो गया है, ठीक है? 5,000 rupees. Now this Unni has told to Nishtala that I got it for 4,000 rupees. Why you got for 5,000? You asked discount. Okay. Next year, Nishtala came. She said, you have to give me discount of 1,000 rupees because you gave it to me. Now the price is already disclosed. No, I cannot argue with her. Okay, I will give you discount. 5,000 rupees invoice, 1,000 rupees. I gave a discount there. Now GST has to be paid on 5,000 or 1,000, 5,000 or 4,000. Last year you said the answer was 5,000. This year I gave a discount of 1,000 rupees. Should I reduce that or no? Nishtala, your question was how to identify price link subsidies. So if there is any subsidy given which is linked to the price, saying that the cost of the product comes down, then it is called price linked subsidy. If it is otherwise a general subsidy, it means it's a non-price linked subsidy. GST to be paid on. Correct, Rohani. Your answer is right. Let's wait for others to answer. Price charge is 4,000 only. So GST is on 4,000, not on 5,000. Correct. So 5,000 rupees I charge, 1,000 rupees I give a discount. That 1,000 discount is before or at the time of supply. So that discount is allowed. What all discount then be allowed? Any discount issued before or at the time of supply. Examples will be spot payment. So I will charge 10,000 rupees, Baba. If you give me cash immediately, I'll give you 500 rupees discount. So at the time of invoice only, I mentioned cash discount. Such cash discount is permitted. Permitted means आप उसको reduce करके GST पे कर सकते हो. Then discount on list price of the distributors. List price होता है, उसके बाद 30%, 40% discount देते हैं in the invoice itself. That is also permitted. On the after discount, what is the value? You will charge GST. Discounts after supply. Supply हो चुका है, बाद में discount देते हैं. Such discount is established in terms of an agreement entered. क्या condition है for after supply? Before supply के लिए no condition. After supply के लिए दो condition है. That when I charged you a invoice, you have claimed the full credit, no Baba. Now the price is reduced, so you cannot take full credit. You have to reduce that extent. So when I raise an invoice and I give discount, which is post-sale discount, the ITC to the extent of discount you have to reverse. And this understanding between us should be through an agreement before the supply. ऐसा नहीं कि supply होने के बाद तुम आओ और मुझे discount मांगो. No, that is not permitted. It should be agreed before. That is only permitted. Okay, post-sale discount, it should be under agreement and the recipient should reverse the credit. Whether applicable on liquidated damages actually is a separate supply only. It's an individual supply. So I agreed and you have not given. So it's not a discount, it's a additional supply. On liquidated damages also GST becomes payable. Okay, so discounts, we were trying to understand this. There are two types of discounts. One is before the supply or at the time of supply. If it is shown in the invoice, yes, it is shown in the invoice, then discounts you will not include. It is not shown in the invoice, then discounts included in the value of supply. मतलब आप उसको discount को कम नहीं करोगे. Okay, and after the supply, is it in terms of an agreement that existed at the time of supply? Yes. Can it be linked to the invoice? Yes. Then proportionate ITC reversed by the recipient? Yes. All of this, then discount is not included. If any of these conditions is no, then discount is included in the value of supply. आप उसको reduce नहीं कर सकते हो. Clear? Allowed will be certain specific discount. क्या discounts allowed है? Pro circular, this has been classified. When the rate of discount increases with volume, okay, this is called as staggered discount. आप जैसे जैसे बढ़ते रहोगे, खरीदते रहोगे, उतना discount ज्यादा मिलेगा. Such discounts are excluded to determine the value of supply. मतलब This is agreed at the time of supply itself, and recipient will reverse the credit. I will issue a credit note. This is a staggered discount. This is a permitted discount. Year-end volume discount offered by the supplier to the stockist, and discounts are passed on by the supplier through credit notes. Such discounts are again excluded to determine the value of supply. So various terminologies of the discount you can get: staggered discount, year-end discount. These are all permitted. Secondary discounts, which means that these discounts are not known at the time of supply, or they are offered after the supply is over. You may give later on, not decided initially. This is called a secondary discount. These discounts shall not be excluded because neither you have informed at the time of supply, okay, or at the time of raising invoice. They are called a secondary discount. They shall not be excluded from the value of supply. How is this given then? So instead of giving a GST credit note, you give something called as a commercial credit note. Because I supplied 1 lakh rupees worth of goods and I wanted to give you a discount. So how will I give this discount? Through issue of some other document? No. So I will issue a commercial credit note, not a regular credit. Okay? Transaction value 15.4, 15.5 says where the value of supply of goods cannot be determined, then the value shall be determined in such manner as may be prescribed. Yeah. 15.1 ke conditions I don't satisfy, then I will go to valuation rules, which means that when I will go to the valuation rules, when my supply is not covered under section 15.1, that is the two control conditions. What are those two conditions? When price is not the sole consideration and this is not between a third part. When price is not the sole consideration and the buyer and seller are not related. When one of these conditions I don't satisfy, then I will have to go to valuation rule. When supply is covered under 15.1, but the transaction is between related persons. Arm's length, I'm giving at a normal price itself, but if you are dealing with related persons, then you have to go to valuation rules. And when a supply is covered under 15.1, but mandatory adjustment of those transaction value have not done. In these three scenarios, I will have to go to 15.4 and 15.5, which means I have to go to the valuation rules. मतलब क्या करूंगा मैं? I will not take the transaction value. I'll take the value what I've charged and I will do some adjustments. Okay. That is called where the value of the supply of goods or services cannot be determined under 15.1. The same shall be determined in such manner as may be described. Matlab, you have to go to valuation rules. Notwithstanding anything contained in 1 or 4, the value of such supplies may be notified by the government. So, अगर government notify कर देता कि इसके लिए यही price है, then that has to be the price. Okay, ready for the MCQs? Any questions? So can I avail ITC on secondary discount through commercial creditors? No, you cannot avail. That's why it's called as a commercial credit note. You cannot avail it. If it's a normal credit note, you can avail. For a commercial credit note, you cannot avail. Okay. Ms. Gomati is a trader, supplied watches to Mr. Deepak for a price of rupees 1,000 each. Wholesale price of the watch is 1,500. Retail price of the watch sold by Ms. Gomati in the ordinary course of business is 2,000. Mr. Gomati and Mr. Deepak are unrelated person. What is the value of the supply? Ruhani, fastest finger first. As per the agreement part, Uni Krishna's question is, as per the agreement part, payment of construction service due after 6 months. Can I avail ITC before making payment? How can you avail ITC before making payment? Payment has to be made, but you have entered into agreement that part payment of the construction service due after 6 months. Okay, construction service there, and you have agreed that you'll make after 6 months. Okay. So in case of construction service, firstly, you have to see that construction service is a block credit, so you cannot claim the credit first of all. But say you are also into construction business and that 180 days condition is your question, right? Yeah, this is very litigative because you have agreed that you will pay, but the act says you have to make payment within 180 days. So what happens? The credit will not be available, even though you have agreed after 6 months, but The law says that it has to be made payment within 6 months, so credit will not be available primarily. Okay, so again, varied questions, varied options here. Few are saying B, few are saying C. The correct answer is C. Why will it be? Ordinary course of business is fine. What we have said, when the parties are not related and price is the sole consideration, transaction value will be the thing. The transaction value here is 1,000. So the value of this supply is 1,000 only. Awesome. There are few offers going on Myntra in the occasion of Raksha Bandhan. Very apt question. Or somebody says yes. That one of the offers is buy more, save more. The customer will get 50% discount if you purchase value more than 70,000, 10,000. 70% of the discount if you purchase for a value more than 30,000. What kind of discount is this? Ruhani, are you able to see my answers somewhere? I have a doubt. My answers are getting leaked. जैसे अभी नीट का पेपर लीक हुआ था वैसा मेरे क्वेश्चंस भी लीक हो गए विद आंसर्स. GST on liquidated damages, yes, GST will be applicable on liquidated damages because forbearance of an act is also a supply. So you're forbearing something and then you're paying liquidated damages. So even on liquidated damages, GST will be applicable. Before I read your reading, very nice. Just kidding, huh? No cheating with CA students, I know. Yeah, so circular says not applicable. That's right. So we'll have to see facts because circular says on some grounds, right? That grounds we'll have to see. Somebody is saying B, somebody is saying D, but the correct answer is C because this is an example of a staggered discount. Buy more and save more. So since we have a specific thing, you cannot say volume discount. Volume is more volume you purchase, you get the fixed rate. But staggered discount is like a step. So this much, this percentage, this much, this percentage. That's why this is a staggered discount. Mr. Prabhas supplied goods to Miss Anushka for a consideration of 2 lakh with a credit period of 1 month. 1% interest is to be charged after expiry of 1 month credit period. Now, Ms. Anushka made a payment of 2 lakhs after expiry of 1 month credit period and with the interest of 1%. What is the value of supply? Sushil Kumar is saying 2D. Ruhani, as usual, is saying 2D. Correct answer. Ritika, please relook at your answer. What did you say? Transaction value inclusions. It includes IPL also, right? So this is interest. So 1% interest, what is being charged, is part of the transaction value itself. 1% comes to 2,000. So transaction value is 2,02,000. Okay. Miss Bhavani sold furniture to Miss ABC for a consideration of 1 lakh. She issued an invoice and provided discount of 10,000 without mentioning it in the invoice. What is the value of the supply? Our fastest finger first, be in the first and given a correct answer. Realme C15, your answer is also correct. Sriram, you're also right. Very nice. सुमित करेक्ट आंसर नहीं है. फोर ए फोर बी 90,000. So pre-sale discount and post-sale discount. Pre-sale discount, the condition is only one, that it should be mentioned in the invoice. In this case, she had provided the discount without mentioning. Be careful when you're reading question fast. Without, these small words are very important. Without mentioning in the invoice, so the value of supply is 1 lakh. Even though she's given 10,000 rupees discount, she's not mentioned. So she has to pay GST on 1 lakh rupees. Okay. Okay, fifth, last question. Mr. A is a trader of school bags. He's selling price of the school bag is 300 rupees per bag. Miss ABS Trust agreed to pay 150 rupees per bag if he sells the school bags to poor children at a price of 150 rupees. इस तुम्हारा प्राइस है भाई 150 में दूंगा तो गरीब लोग को 150 में बेचो. A reported the value of supply is 150 rupees per bag in his GST. मेरे को तो 150 आया है, बाकी 150 subsidy है. My sale price is 150. Is this reporting correct or no? Yes. What is the reason? If no, what is the reason? Fourth one MCQ answer is 1 lakh rupees out. Yes, I'll just tell you, Sushil. Shield, the question was 1 lakh rupees supply, 10,000 rupees is the discount. What is the discount? What is the condition for discount at the time of supply of invoice that you should mention in the invoice? But she has not mentioned in the invoice, so she will not get that benefit. The value will be 1 lakh, 10,000 rupees discount cannot be reduced. Got it? I've given the full reason only, no. So everybody will answer correctly. But Sumit, you're saying D. Why so? Why is it D? Where is fastest finger first? big question. So you had to think. Is it necessary invoice to mention pre-discount? I will show only 93,000 net amount without mentioning pre-discount. Then you're altering your transaction value, no? Your supply value you're changing, but actually the fact is supply value is actually 1 lakh itself. 10,000 is a discount. So you should mention 1 lakh minus 10,000 itself. Otherwise you're altering your value. You cannot alter your value. You can do changes in value through these discounts and permitted route itself. Yes. So the correct answer for this, I think many have given the correct answer, is B. No, because subsidy should be given only by the central government and state government for reduction. If they are given by any other person, then that is not permitted. That's why the value of the supply is 300. If that 150 rupees would be given by the central government or the state government, then what he's done is correct. But the subsidy is given by not a central government or state government, so he will not get the benefit. Awesome. Very good session. Very good learning today. Keep doing the good work, keep reading it and keep revising it. Go through the materials, have a thorough understanding, complete your learning of the chapter so that this becomes easy to grasp when you have the books in front of you one day before the exam also. Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.